Hey everybody, it's your bro Luke Feast, back at you with another video. I have a cartoon series called Trey Fisher, and I'm very passionate about it. I have been working on this cartoon for almost 10 years, since 2015. In this video, I'm going to talk about the history of my animations and how I created it over time, and how it came to be today. So stay tuned, and I hope you enjoy this video. In order to understand the origins of story of Trey and Trey Fisher, we have to go back all the way to 2015. I was a sophomore in high school. I made a comic strip called Trey Fisher the Kid, and I pretty much just started making cartoon strips. I'm such a freaking loser. Everything that happens to me is bad luck. I'm broke, nobody likes me at all, and I'm so dumb.
Did you forget your antidepressants, Trey?
Oh crap. I had two friends at the time, Ethan and Andy, and I made them into cartoon characters. I remember watching South Park episodes and thinking, I could do that. I want to do things like that. That would be awesome. That's something I would love to do. I started making comic strips and just practicing my art style and showing it to friends at school. 2016 rolls around and I'm still working on these comic strips, but the art styles are kind of changing from comic strip to comic strip. I feel like I was trying to figure out my art style back then. I remember going to a coffee shop called Caroline's Coffee and just writing comic strips and drawing and making these comic strips before school. It was something I was very passionate about. I also remember sending my comics to syndicates and getting rejected a lot because my art style wasn't exactly where it needed to be back then. 2017 rolls around and I'm getting curious about making animation. There was a school project coming up and I wanted to make an animated project for that school project. Yeah, didn't have any animation softwares whatsoever. What I did is I drew each individual frame on a separate piece of paper. It was really hard and I scanned it, and that was called Ethan's Foxy News. That was the first ever animated thing I made for Trey Fisher. This is a sample of it.
Nothing better than a bag of chips and TV right in front of your face.
Except we're watching Fox News.
So what's wrong with watching a bunch of clowns bicker? It's like comedy.
Fox News? That's it. I lost faith in everything.
After I graduated high school, this was around 2019, I decided to start continuing animating Trey Fisher. At the time it was called Story of Trey. I animated a thing called Piloted Trey, which is pretty much where they ditch school for a concert. It was very low budget, and I animated the whole thing on Adobe Premiere Pro, pretty much dragging and dropping little frames and compiling it all together. And it pretty much took 6 months to make. It was really hard. I also made another animation called Get a Job, which was Story of Trey. Joey used to be the bully in Story of Trey, and in 2020 I continued making these animations that took like 6 months. I made Party of Trey, Homecoming, and Butler Bot. Those were episodes from the old season 1 of Story of Trey. In 2021, I kind of went away from that and started working on shorter cartoons. I was working on season 2, but it wasn't as consistent. But I had a lot of funny short cartoons I made. In 2023, I decided to change the art style completely from Story of Trey. A huge reason of this was because I was getting into an animated... That was my phone. A huge reason for this was because I was getting into an anime called One Piece, and the art style was amazing to me, and I fell in love with the characters and everything about One Piece. I wanted to change the art style so I can make it more free range for myself, and I think for some reason One Piece inspired that. I made awesome episodes that people really like called Cultathon, Disney Channel Sucks, where they make fun of Disney Channel. There's a lot of good episodes in season 3. In 2024, I decided to make an animated feature film called Movie of Trey. It took 6 months to make, and I was using Adobe Animate. I was also working about 40 hours a week at a summer job, which I'm going to be having to do next summer too, but that's another thing. My real life job right now is a substitute custodian, and during the summer, we deep clean the schools. That's just my personal job. So I was pretty much going to work at 7 a.m., leaving at 3, and then animating as much as I can when I got home. It was hard, but I managed to finish Movie of Trey before 2025. Response was really good. People started loving it, and everyone's like, I want a sequel, which maybe I'll make. I don't know, maybe in a different way. But I do have an idea for another something like that. Movie of Trey was a big project that took a long time to make, but it was fun. My best friend helped me work on the project and did a lot of voice acting. They even wrote a lot of the script too. And in 2025, since there was so much development with Story of Trey, I decided to recreate the series into a new title, Trey Fisher. And there were a number of reasons for this. One of the reasons was because the art style changed so much. I wanted to recreate the series in a more linear way that people could follow easier. So I'm still working on season 1. I have a new episode coming out on the 30th or 31st, depending on how fast I get it done. So stay tuned for that. Anyways, that's where we are currently in Story of Trey / Trey Fisher. Stay tuned for more Toons, films, and music, and have a great day.